What's up, everyone? This is Dr. Webb here. In this video, I have a very special guest to share his story of how he got to the point of becoming a flight surgeon and some other great things that he's doing now. We also have some special surprises for you guys, so I'm very excited about this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'll be posting new videos to help you guys, so you don't want to miss these videos that I'm putting out, so make sure you subscribe. All right, what's up, Dr. Lee? How you doing, man?
What's going on, brother? Good to see you again, man. I'm doing well.
You too, man. Yeah, thank you for coming on today and for sharing your story. And I'm pretty sure, you know, lots of the people out there are going to be very inspired to hear what you have to say. So let's get right to it, man. Tell us about yourself.
So, Dr. Clarence Lee Jr. I'm a physician. I practice occupational medicine currently. I went to medical school at Drexel University, came out, trained in general surgery for a few years, and then went to the School of Aerospace Medicine with the Air Force. Practiced as a Air Force flight surgeon for about 5 years, deployed, flew jets, traveled all over the world. And now I'm a healthcare executive at a occupational medicine clinic on the medical side. And my other passions surround personal development. So I write books and speak and do stuff like this to inspire people to get what they want out of life.
Awesome, man. I know that the first time I actually met you, you told me that you were a flight surgeon. I had pretty much no idea what that was. But that's amazing. And a lot of people don't know what a flight surgeon is. But let's start off about your path to medicine. What made you want to become a doctor?
So my mom was a nurse, and she introduced me to medicine really, really early in life. So, you know, I was watching her study through nursing school at the age of 7 and 8. And I had this idea that I wanted to become a doctor. And she got me some mentors. At around 17, I started shadowing surgeons in the OR. And, you know, I said, well, you know what, I think this is something I want to consider. But yeah, that's when I kind of started, you know, really young, watching my mom at the hospitals.
Okay, awesome. And I understand that you had a very tumultuous path to medicine also, because I have a lot of followers who they may have applied to medical school or applied to PA school or nursing school, and they just get stumbled upon that first time that they get rejected. But you had a really interesting story about your path to medicine. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, you know, it took me 5 years to get into medical school, man.
Wow.
You know, I ended up applying to almost every medical school for 5 years in a row. So 500 times, you know, trying to get to my vision. And so the main thing I tell people with that is you just got to make sure that you maintain your faith and you hold that vision, because as soon as you start thinking more about what you don't want opposed to what you want, then, you know, you're going to change what you do. So you got to understand medicine it's a very competitive field. A lot of people want to go into it. To get into medical school is competitive. Everybody is out there trying to do it. So, you know, don't get too worried if it doesn't happen the first year or the second year. The main thing is keep pushing, keep improving your application, and just don't give up. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people they say they want to be a teacher or a lawyer or different aspects of different fields, but they try one time and then they just give up. But what did you do during those particular 5 years? That's a long time, and that just shows basically. We'll talk about your book, Persist. That just basically shows how persistent you were in achieving your goals. But what did you do during those 5 years to maybe improve your application, or did you hire tutors, take extra courses? What did you do during those 5 years?
I did all the above of what you just mentioned, but basically the first, I kind of say the first tip I would say is just making sure that I learned how to objectify my failure. So when I first started getting the rejection letters back, you know, my first thought was, man, they're rejecting me. Like, you know, I was thinking in my mind, like, they're rejecting me. But as I thought more and more on that, I realized these people are the admissions committees, or this black box that the application went into. They weren't really rejecting me. They were rejecting my application. And that application I could change. So that GPA, that personal statement, all of my extracurricular, everything I could manipulate, I could change, you know? And so for me, that what I did, it went from, you know, taking the MCAT over to, you know, rewriting my personal statement, to retaking some science classes to make sure I bumped my science GPA up.
Yeah.
It was calling the schools and getting some direct feedback from them as far as what was my application, where was my application weak, how could I improve it? You know, it was talking to people that were already in the field and getting their idea of what worked for them. Literally every single thing that I could think of to help me gain admission, I did it. So honestly, man, if I thought it was going to help me, I was going to try it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you have to do. You have to be all in, and you have to reach out to different, like you said, different schools, to mentors. You have to basically look and see what parts of your application are lacking, or what do the schools think that you can do to improve on to get to that next step. And you know, I always tell people when they say that they maybe applied once or two times, I was like, if you want to be a doctor, I would apply 9, 10 times, 11 times. I don't care. I would apply for 10 years straight. It was like, man, the admissions committee would have said, man, I've seen this name so many times every year, but they would have known my name because I wanted to get in and I wanted to be a doctor that bad. So, and if you want something that bad, you'll eventually get it. And
absolutely. And even with being honest in my personal statement and being honest in my interviews, my story was consistent the whole time. Like, this is what I wanted to do. So after 3 or 4 years, they could see I have been trying to do this. I'm not playing games with you. Like, this is what I'm going to do. If you let me in, I will matriculate. I will be a productive member of society and an alumni that will come back to your organization. So, you know, just being true to who you are, and your story is your story. And, you know, you know, for me, all those failures that happened, it helped me to share this story right now, so I can share it from a position of power and say I overcame that, so I can encourage other people. So sometimes, you know, your struggle is not always just for you, and that's how I kind of see it. So now I'm practicing and exploring all my other visions and dreams in my life. And honestly, what I learned in that 5 years was that I could apply that same persistence, that same mindset to every single thing. So went on and took it into business and writing books and started my speaking business. So it's all the same, man. Yeah.
All right. Tell us about that transition from being a medical student and then joining the military. Did you do the HSPS scholarship, or did you go active duty? What made you decide to go into the military?
So my dad was a Marine. So I kind of saw the difference between, and we didn't come from alliance, but I saw the difference between my father and the rest of his siblings. And I attributed most of that to his military training, to the fact that he was a Marine. And so, you know, growing up, seeing that, I was like, okay, he's got this edge. He's got something that everyone else doesn't have, and the military gave it to him. And so I was like, you know what, I want that. And so after I played basketball in college, and that's how I got my undergrad paid for. And, you know, my family didn't have money to say, hey, we're gonna pay for your medical school. And so for me, it was like, okay, what options can I have? And this is the same with the message. What options can I look at that are gonna continue to help me move forward, but solve a problem that I'm facing? And so I applied for a scholarship with the Air Force, did HPSP, that allowed me to be a full-time student, as well as take care of my tuition, as well as give me a stipend, so that I could keep pushing toward my vision, but not, you know, get into a ton of crazy debt.
Yeah, awesome. And in the Air Force, you were a flight surgeon, is that correct?
Yeah, so I commissioned as a second lieutenant in the reserves, and then went to medical school. That was my job. And then once I got my MD, I promoted to captain, and then went into my residency training. And so I decided to go into aerospace. I started off in general surgery, wanting to do surgery, and then realized, oh, you know, this isn't for me. So I said, well, I don't want to do surgery. So what are my other options? And the Air Force said, hey, you know, you want to fly jets? And I'm like, yeah. And so I was like, how do I do that? And so, applied to the School of Aerospace Medicine, went off and did ground school, learned how to fly, got attached to an operational unit, and took care of pilots, man. That's what I did.
So what is a flight surgeon? Like I said, before I even met you, I didn't know what it was. I heard people talk about it, but what is a flight surgeon and what does it take to become one?
Yeah, so the flight surgeon is the equivalent of like an occupational medicine physician in the civilian world. So
Okay.
you are a physician that understands your patient's working environment. So
Mm.
in the case of a flight surgeon, your patient's working environment is at altitude. So it's in an aircraft. So you
Okay.
have to understand what that environment consists of, what risks are associated with that environment, and then you also have to understand how the pilot does his job. So in the Air Force's Infinite Wisdom, they taught doctors how to fly. And so I had to go to ground school and had to learn how to fly, how to communicate with air traffic control,
Yeah.
how to control an aircraft, everything, how to manage the ejection seat.
Yeah.
And so basically that's what I did. So I flew with the pilots and in two-seaters, of course, always in the back. So the pilot and me, and I assess their ability to do their job. And the flight surgeon is the only physician that can say when a pilot can go or no go. So that means a pilot can either fly or he can't fly, or who's able to fly. So the flight surgeon makes that decision in the Air Force.
Okay. And tell us about a typical day for you. Like when you went to work, what did you end up doing and how many hours? Did you fly a lot? What places did you go to? Tell us about like a typical like life.
Yeah, so I actually loved my job. So I don't want y'all to, flight surgeon is super, super cool. So a typical week would be a few days of clinic. So I'd have clinic morning, afternoon,
Okay.
about two days a week. And then I have a fly day. And so my fly day will consist of maybe I see patients in the morning and then I go
Mhm.
off and fly a sortie. So it depends on what we're doing that day, what was on our flying curriculum. So when you fly, you don't just go and fly, you're always training, okay? So you're always
Mhm.
training about something. So it's, okay, we're gonna go do maneuvering today. Are we gonna work on stalling procedures? Are we gonna work on emergency procedures? What are we working on? And so I would fly once a week. Typically I'd fly about 4 to 6 hours a month.
Yeah.
Each sortie, I got most of my hours in a T-38. It's like a little trainer jet.
Yeah.
So most of our sorties or our flights would only be about an hour and a half.
Mhm.
So you go out, either you're going to do some two-ship formation or say you're going to do stall procedures. You go out and you come back and you debrief. So I'd have a fly day. Then I'd also have an admin day. Admin day would just be me doing my administrative stuff, maybe catching up on notes, doing emails, doing evaluations. All the
Mhm.
administrative stuff would be in
Yeah.
an officer in the military. And then the next day would be kind of like we call it a shop visit day. So that
Mhm.
was my occupational medicine day. So I would go out and look at people's working environment, assess their risk, and decide, what sort of screening processes did we need to be in place to address these exposures. So say if somebody had like a noise exposure, I'd make sure that they had an audiogram program or a hearing conservation program set in place for their work environment.
Yeah.
Assess whatever risk or hazard that they were a part of in their work environment. So that was my week, man. Pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Seems like a lot of fun. And can you do that in the Army as well, or is it just the Air Force? Does the Army?
The Army also has flight surgeons. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
I can't speak to the Army and how they
Yeah.
do it specifically, but I did do some cross training with some of the Army flight docs. So there's a lot of similarities.
Okay. And now you're into healthcare. Tell us about your current role. Like, how did you transition from the military to kind of what position you are in now?
Yeah, so after medical school, I realized, hey, I know how to take care of patients. I know how to not kill people.
Yeah.
Okay, but I work in this healthcare industry, and I work in this market, but I don't understand how the market runs. I don't understand how to run a hospital.
Yeah.
I'm a physician in one department, but I can't run a hospital. I don't understand the business of medicine, and so I went and got my MBA just to get a groundwork of how does business work? How does the healthcare industry work? Because my vision was to be a healthcare executive. So I wanted to have the aptitude of a practitioner, but the business mind of a business person. because honestly, man, I feel like we need more physicians helping to make policies and run business.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just going right.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm the medical director for a company that works in the occupational medicine field. So I run one of their clinics. And my day-to-day is kind of going out, making relationships with employers and handling all their workers' comp injuries. So making sure that we're, getting the right treatment, making sure we're getting folks back to work as quickly as we can, as safely as possible, and making sure folks are safe at work. So that's what I do now.
Awesome. And you have a book out called Persist. Because when people that have goals in mind, say for instance, they want to open up their own business or even get their MBA or go to nursing school, law school, there's always going to be some excuses like, I don't have enough time. I don't have the money to do it. I don't have the family support. But I read your book. It's a great book, and it talks about all these excuses that people have, and you give a solution to them. Tell us about this book and like what made you write this book?
So, yeah, man. So for me, one of my passions in life is just helping people get what they want. And one of the main things that I saw as I was growing up and just navigating life and talking to people about their dreams was, most of the time somebody would tell me like, yo, yeah, like I was really into XYZ when I was growing up. And then they say, but then they would enter whatever excuse that they told themselves. Or, my time passed, or, I didn't have enough time to put into it, or I didn't have the money.
Yeah.
And then they would say, and so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I just was not okay with that. Like, I'm like, you know what? I don't want my life to be like that. And so I just became obsessed with what actually makes people quit. Like, why do people quit on their dreams? Why is it that some people just decide to just plow no matter what? They just keep going. And other people decide, well, you know what? What is it that makes them convince themselves that it's okay to quit? And so, I started reading books and diving into the research on, neuroscience and habit formation and positive psychology and just diving into what is it that makes folks quit. And so I came up with the top 10 excuses and how you beat them. And so I discussed, those top 10 excuses in the book and, give people some practical exercises that they can introduce into their lives to overcome some of those common excuses.
Okay. Awesome, man. And what type of audience do you think would be a good fit? Because a lot of different people out there. Is it for just the older population, for younger generation? Who do you think would benefit from your book?
Yeah, so my avatar, if you will, the person I'm writing for is is a young person, a young adult. So we're talking a high school grad to maybe middle age. Honestly, a little bit older, but that's who I was kind of going after, was that young adult, this person that hasn't been too jaded from life in their 60s, like, oh, life, and not too young where they haven't had any experience to figure out what they want to do. So kind of that middle, the 20s to 30s individual that has a vision. Mm-hmm. They know what they want to do, because the book's not gonna teach you what you want to do, but they have a vision and they are trying to figure out how to get the life that they want. That's who the book is for. Awesome,
man. So if someone wanted to check out your book, where can they find it at?
Yes, so persistbook.com. So persistbook.com. You can just go to the website and it'll tell you about the book. And I've got bonuses and all kind of crazy stuff on there to get people to do it, to get people to pick the book up. And I know folks are going to love it. The idea is, hey, how do I keep pushing? What does the science say about how do I keep going after something and get that psychological advantage? Because obstacles are going to come, man. I mean, you, everybody, that. You're not going to sail through everything. I even give an example in the book about dealing with complications in surgery. As I was training in general surgery, you want the guy that has dealt with some of the complications.
Yeah, exactly.
You want the guy that can handle the complications.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was going to say that you are the kind of perfect person to write this book, especially after applying 5 times. I don't think I've ever met anybody, and I get lots of emails from all over the country from people who are applying, and they say, "Oh, I can't get in after applying once." And but 5 times, that's someone who's written a book about that. That's the type of book that I would want to read, because I would want to know, like, how did he do it? And
Right.
I think your book kind of perfectly demonstrates that. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something for the viewers out there. I want to give a copy. I haven't talked to you about this, but I want to actually give, let's say, 2 copies of your book away if you want to sign them to people out there. So if you guys want a copy of Persist, which is a great book by Dr. Clarence Lee, which I have read personally, this is what you have to do. Let's see. So you're going to take his picture of his book. You just basically go to persistbook.com and get a picture of the book and upload it to any social media. It's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And the person who has, the top 2 people who have the most likes or shares of that particular picture, that post, or that message on Instagram, and then you send that to me, like a screenshot, and you got 47 likes and someone else has 53 likes. Those top 2 people, we're going to give you an autographed copy of Dr. Lee's book, and I'm positive that's going to change in your life and also inspire you to never give up on your goals. But I just want to thank you, man, for coming on, today and sharing your story, your inspiring story. If people wanted to contact you, how can they get a hold of you?
So you can just reach me on my website. We'll throw in the audio book for them as well. So
Okay, awesome.
I narrated the audio book. We'll throw that in for
Okay.
For the folks. I'll give them access to that. But yeah, just my website, clarenceleejr.com, or I'm on all the social media at CM Lee Jr. So CMLEEJR. That's my handle. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm all over the place. YouTube. I love the social media stuff. So yeah, if folks want to reach out, I'd be happy to engage and tell you about my story and help you get what you want if I can.
Awesome. And I'll put some links up in the video as well as in the description. But thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you guys subscribe. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'll be posting new videos, new content from different careers in medicine, different tips that I have for you guys to succeed and reach your goals. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.